What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Kumite Lifestyle, where the mat meets the mic. I'm your host, Nick Arndt, and I appreciate you tapping in for another episode. Whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or streaming the show on your favorite podcast platform, thank you for being here and supporting what we're building. Every view, every listen, every follow, every comment, every review, and every share helps this podcast continue to grow and reach more people. If you're new here, this show is all about real conversations, real stories, and real people doing meaningful things. And if you've been rocking with us already, you know what time it is. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a rating or review, and share this episode with somebody who needs to hear it. Now, let's get right into this amazing conversation. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast, where the mat meets the mic. And today we are joined by RJ Reisen, all the way down in South Carolina, I believe.
North Carolina.
I'm sorry. Yep. I was just one state below. So North Carolina, forgive me. And did I say your last name correctly?
So it's actually Reisen.
Reisen. All right. So RJ Reisen, my fault. So I always want to make sure that I don't butcher any guest name. So that's on me. So RJ, we're super excited to have you on the podcast today. And a couple of things I just want to mention before we, dive into this amazing conversation is that, well, two things. We just saw each other last week at the 2026 Isshinryu Karate Hall of Fame. And for the viewers out there that have been watching and listening, especially over the last couple of weeks, that's an event that quite a few of my guests have been on. So RJ, he was there as well. But I want to kind of go back in time a little bit. So you and I actually met, and I had a chance to meet your father as well when you guys traveled to Delaware, which is the state that I live in, and you guys made a visit to Rigby's Karate Academy. So huge shout out to Master Rigby, my instructor. And I just remember you guys coming in. You both were hardworking. You guys just love training. So let's start with that. So I forgot what year that is, so forgive me, but I do have that picture that I sent. But can you recall that moment in time?
That was probably in like the 2005 to 2008 timeframe.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
So it's been a hot minute since we've known each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you live in North Carolina right now, but you were because I know you trained with Master Scott Klinger, correct?
Yes. So I started out at Master Scott Klinger's dojo. I started about 3 years old and worked with him all the way till I was about 18 years old. Once we finally moved down here, but we stayed in contact, and I still look at him for guidance, and he does very great things for this martial art community.
Yeah, absolutely. And just speaking of martial arts, the style that you and I do is Isshinryu, which is one of the many styles of karate. And, again, just to give some context for those that may be listening for the first time, Isshinryu is a blended style of Shorin Goju, and it comes from Okinawa. So it's pretty fascinating, right? All the people that we get to meet along the way in this journey. I mean, obviously we have the people that we train with, whether it be family, friends, or, friends that become family. So, so I want to kind of start there. So you mentioned starting with Master Scott Klinger. So at what age did you start, RJ? And like around that time, was that something that you wanted to do, or is it more of a household decision?
No, so I started about 3 years old, kind of starting to get my feet under me, learning how to talk and everything like that. And the weird thing was, it was because I wanted to go to the bathroom by myself.
Really?
So, being a little kid, I was like, hey, if I know karate, I can go to the bathroom by myself. Of course, that didn't really work, and my parents were always with me, but
yeah, no, that's awesome. So, being age 3, that's interesting you say that, because, you see a lot in sports how, people that have been around any sport for a while, they usually start at a pretty young grassroots age. So being age 3, man, I got to ask, do you remember much from your first, couple of classes, or maybe not age 3, but what can you recollect from your early years of training? Like, what was training like for you specifically?
So Master Klinger was very, very tough on us, which I'm very thankful for, because it built up that discipline and that kind of mental toughness for my later years in life and still today. So I remember being very, very tough, old school, traditional style karate classes and everything like that. And then he had some fun with it. We had an instructor, Miss Colson, always talked to tiny tigers, as they called it, and running around doing games and everything like that. So I do remember some of the fun activities and also the karate tournaments and stuff, and trying to just kick everything, punch everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the Tiny Tigers. That was the class that I started with too. So another cool point is, all these different programs, right? Tiny Tigers, or I hear some Grace University. So I also do jujitsu. So just to give some context, so we have what's called the Matt Munchkins class. We have a class called the Little Champs. So it's interesting hearing all these different unique names that different schools have. But what I found fascinating over the years was I just thought I just thought that the Tiny Tigers were something that only the dojo that I went to had. I just thought it was kind of like this, special exclusive thing. And then I remember going to a tournament and I was talking to a kid my age and he was talking about Tiny Tigers. I was like, no, no, that's not right because only I do Tiny Tigers. So, yeah, man, that's cool how we're all kind of one and the same. So when you were training, and you mentioned kind of that old school mentality, what year did you start training?
So it was right at like 1999,
Yep. And I'm glad you said that.
early 2000s.
Yep. Yeah. So I started in 96. So, for anyone that, was, fortunate enough to, train kind of during the pre social media era, if you will, definitely had a different slice of training, I feel, because I mean, you see it now, I'm sure, as a school owner and someone that teaches, today's generation, there is a lot of distraction out there, at least for us growing up. Like we didn't really have that. It was just like, hey, it's time to go to class, get in the car and go, So I miss those times, man.
Me too. I really do. No
Yeah,
social media, stuff like that. Don't have to worry about getting filmed or, hey, we need to stop class to let's take a selfie for it. No,
yeah,
just being here to train.
yep. I mean, I think there's definitely pros and cons to it, but I get that point too, where it's like I came in for a specific reason to train. But I will say that as my role in martial arts has changed, especially over the last few years of transitioning more into this coaching slash teaching role, I see the benefit of social media,
Um,
definitely having to advertise. But as a kid growing up, we our conceptual. I think we're able to, I guess, conceptualize our training compared to now because it was very different. So when did you start competing? Was that something that you did early on?
so
Is that
I started very, very young competing. I think around 5, 6, 7 years old. I started competing, going to local tournaments, and then enjoyed it, started placing well. Then started jumping over to AAU and different events like that. So
yeah,
I've got a whole wide of spectrum of different tournaments and stuff that I've competed in.
absolutely. And do you remember how you did your first tournament?
I'm pretty sure I got disqualified in fighting.
Really?
Yeah,
How
I was
come?
always a heavy hitter. Still enjoy heavy hitting.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't either I placed pretty well or I got disqualified every tournament just because just got so amped up fighting. And
Yeah. Did you ever like looking back now when you were competing, did you ever feel I hate to use the word force, but was that something that you genuinely enjoyed? Because I have a
a
quick
lot.
story that I'll share, but like was that something that you wanted to do wholeheartedly, or is that like more of a dojo decision?
No, so I was very, very thankful for my parents and my sensei and everything like that. Nothing was ever forced or anything like that. So once I did it, it was, hey, this is your show. You get to do whatever you want. If you want to compete, you're competing. But if you're competing, you're going to give 100%.
Yeah.
So I had to sit down with my parents at a young age. It's like, hey, this is what I want to do. And then they're like, okay, you're going to train then. So,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
then I kind of just went full throttle on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree there with you. My parents, who I'm still very close with today, thankfully, they were always loving and supporting over the years. And yeah, dude, I can't ever recall a time where my mom and dad and my mom trains as well. She started a month after I did back in 96. But yeah, it was never a point like, all right, like you got to go to this tournament. And I thank them for that, especially now looking back, because how many times in sports have we seen where, you know, I want to be careful about how I say this, but basically how parents live through their kids, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, man. I mean, it's good. I mean, I get that parents want to be very passionate, but you know, at what point or what at what yeah, like at what point does that start to kind of wear and tear on the kid, you know? I mean, anyone can be good at, you know, like that youth level, but I kind of joke and say like, you know, college coaches aren't, you know, recruiting you because you won a tournament at age 9.
Yeah. I mean,
You
you
know?
see it throughout how we grew up together through tournaments and everything like that. And what last week we were all talking about all the people that have gotten out of martial arts and stuff because their parents
Yeah.
forced them. And I mean, it's sad because some of these guys had great potential.
Yeah.
They kind of just washed out because they just either got forced or they started doing poor choices in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like I think in the moment we don't, you know, think about those things as it's happening. Like the one athlete that we're talking about specifically, and you showed me the picture, dude, I was blown away, and I just like I get that life happens, and we, you know, continue to grow, and as we get older, but yeah, it's interesting how I think a lot of times we put athletes and champions on this pedestal, and we just assume that their life is going to turn out great, but it I find that it's what happens behind closed doors that no one sees. So I'm glad that you and I turned out, you know, pretty good, you know.
I
And
am too.
dude, man, I was stoked when I saw you at the Hall of Fame because I've seen you in years past. It's just like that event is just so busy. Like, it's just hard to connect with everyone. But yeah, so I was at the table for Kumite Lifestyle, which went pretty well. And then I remember seeing your dojo walk in, and of course your dad. So I appreciate you coming up saying hello. But yeah, it was cool because you know at the Hall of Fame, it's a pretty special event because for me, I consider it to be like the Super Bowl of Isshinryu, or kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
homecoming, if you will. So being able to catch up and just kind of reminisce on the old times, you know. So like for yourself, what's that event like for you? And actually, how many Hall of Fames have you been to? So let's start off with that, and then every year, what is the event like? What's it mean to you, kind of near and dear?
So I've probably been to maybe in between about 7 and 10 Hall of Fames throughout my career so far.
Nice.
Um, I think every single year kind of shifts my mentality of what I'm going there for. Like in the beginning years, it was competing and wanting to win, grand champion, everything like that. Now, towards I'm getting older and own my own school with my father, it's more watching my students kind of go through where I was and kind of build them to go try to beat you in grand champion or try to get them to be further than I got.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a revolving door per se. So
Yeah.
in the beginning it was more the kind of competing and now it's more the mentoring and then also it's actually I like that tournament so well because I get to meet all the new or I wouldn't say meet kind of catch back up with all my friends and see everyone and I mean everyone's life from our age starting as little kids have changed drastically.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I mean it's I mean catching up with you learning about your career and where you went and everything like that I was super happy and getting to learn about everyone how their lives went.
Yeah. Yeah, man, right on. And I feel exactly the same way. I know you mentioned a couple of things that you're, you know, doing now aside from being a dojo owner and some of the aspirations that you have moving forward with your career, which I definitely want to talk on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you mentioned something where, you know, when we go to this Hall of Fame, especially as competitors, and I love the way that you said that your mindset was to compete, obviously to win. And we hear that a lot. You know, coaches say, you know, just go out and have fun. Yeah, I get that. But if you're a true competitor, like your objective, your goal is to go and win. And then whatever else happens, you know, it's just kind of I'm a byproduct of that. But I'm sure you would agree with this, where as competitors, you have to be a little selfish in wanting to win. Like it is a team aspect. It's kind of like wrestling, right? You have a team, but when you're out there competing individually or even jujitsu or even just sparring, it is just you out there. So there is this level of being selfish to some degree where it may show and people might think like, oh, like, he's all about himself, or like all he cares about is winning. And then I have to reframe it and think like, yeah, that's what he's there to do. Now, as coaches, I don't think that selfishness ever goes away. I just think it becomes more of a selfless act where, like you said, you want your athletes to be better than you. And I'm glad you said that because I think sometimes as coaches and senseis, people might forget, why they're there in the first place. But dude, like huge shout out to your students, man, like Shelby, Billy, and just that whole collective group. I just feel you guys have a pretty cool bunch down in North Carolina.
Before we jump back into this conversation, I've got to put you on. The official Kumite Lifestyle shop is open and the merch is ready. We've got shirts, hoodies, hats, accessories available now, and every purchase helps support the show, the content, the guest, and everything we're building. So if you've been enjoying the episodes, this is your chance to support the podcast and look good while doing it. Head on over to kumitelifestyle.com, click the shop, and grab your gear today. Use promo code KUMITE, Kumite, and receive a 15% discount for each purchase. Don't just watch the movement, be a part of it.
Yeah, it started out from pretty much nothing. Someone actually, weird story was someone put a almost Craigslist ad asking to teach adult class in his karate school.
Yeah.
And it was just a small little building in a shopping center.
Yeah.
And then my dad's like, you want to see what it's like? And he's like, yeah, sure. So we started it. And then he went through some family stuff and then decided, hey, do you want to buy over the dojo? You completely run it and I'm stepping away. We're like, yeah, we built up a pretty good clientele already. And then next thing you know, how mine and my dad's personalities interact with each other.
Yeah.
Families absolutely love it because we've got a very, very good relationship. And I love my dad to death. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
So we interact very well. We act like father and son, but we also act like best friends too.
Yeah.
So families love it. It's a very family atmosphere dojo. And then when COVID hit, it was kind of perfect timing too, because the store next to us unfortunately went out of business. So me and my dad were like, hey, let's expand the dojo. Expanded the dojo, and next thing you know, the dojo is just popping off and more students, and we're getting top level athletes from it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember having Shelby Milliken on. She was one of my first youth guests last year, and she's a hoot as well. I mean, she's the future.
Oh, yeah.
I think you said it best. Like she'll definitely be a politician or something as she grows up. But I hope that she stays the course. I hope she continues to enjoy the journey. I know she has a very strong, supportive parent, and I think we always want best for our students. Best for our kids. I'm not a parent yet, so I can only assume that, if you will. But that's Shelby's definitely someone that I want to see continue rising through the ranks. She kind of reminds me of Nina, right? How like Nina had a really good, strong upbringing, and she did very well. And I feel like Nina was definitely passionate about competing and karate, but now she's switched over to jiu-jitsu. So it's cool to see all the great things that she's done as well. So it's interesting. I'm sure you see a lot of like your peers in some of the students that you teach.
Oh yeah, yeah, I do.
Do you ever see a lot of yourself in some of these students, or like certain characteristics?
I do. It's actually very funny. I'm sure you see it too in some of your students. You see them like they'll watch you like a hawk, and then next thing you know, she's like, "Hey, I normally say things like that, or I do that." And you're like, "Man, he picked up what I'm doing."
Yeah,
it's such a big feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they say that that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So it is cool that when our students start to pick up our good habits, for sure. So I know you were. So explain to me kind of that transition. So I know you were in New Jersey. How did you and your father end up down in North Carolina? Because I know you talked about the school and how you went about that, but what was that? What was that transition like? Piece like?
So my dad and my mom both retired from law enforcement up in New Jersey. So they're like, hey, we want to be down by the beach. And then my grandma lives down right on the border of North and South Carolina. So someone recommended the little like complex that they live in now. It's like, go check it out. They went down, fell in love, and they're like, hey, once fully retired, we're moving down there.
Awesome. And you guys have been there ever since?
So they have. So my whole history is kind of all very left turn, right turn. So when I was just about senior year of high school, I was actually getting into like competitive cycling. So I traveled all around the world doing elite level cycling, racing in professional races.
Yeah.
So I moved out to Texas, go live in a team house for about 3 years. And then they moved down there. So then once I decided to finally call the cycling, because I wanted to actually further my career and stuff like that. And I know there was a cap on professional athletes. So I didn't want to start all over at 30 years old. Kind of had to make some life choices, figure out what I wanted to do. So I was like, hey, I want to move back in and go into law enforcement.
Yeah.
So then moved back in with them. And then me and my dad started looking around for dojos and stuff like that. Didn't really find some good fits and stuff. And then in the meantime, got the karate school. And then at that point, my dad found the USIK.
Yeah.
And then so we've been training under Master Boykin and Master Cunningham.
Yeah. Yeah. So huge shout out to those guys as well. It's
And
interesting.
Master Kobolansky, excuse me.
Who's that? Mitch.
And Master
Yeah.
Kobolansky.
Yep. Yeah. So those are all guys that I've seen over the years at the Hall of Fame. It's you said something how when you were kind of in that transition phase and both your father and you were trying to find a dojo. I think, you don't realize what you have until it's no longer there. And I'm using the context of a dojo. I know for myself, whenever students travel and they go to other places to visit and train, which we highly encourage, most of the time, actually all the time, if you will, they come back and they say like, yeah, like it was a really cool experience, but I love what we have here in Delaware. So it can be tough. And you said something how like the way both you and your dad teach, I would imagine for your students, if they ever travel or, visit another place, I'm sure it's like that for them. And it should be like that, bro, because the product that we deliver to our students should be something that is life changing, in my opinion. I believe that people do martial arts for self-defense, fitness. It's not even a competition because that's something that kind of has to be introduced to you after you get that fundamental, but people stay for the community. So yeah, like I think it's cool that you guys have fostered that, and I see that in Shelby, I see that in Justin. I know how much he loves training. I'm always seeing his videos. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So man, like so jumping into law enforcement, so is that something that you still do now, or because I know
Uh,
that you mentioned military? Go ahead.
so I did about 5 years in local law enforcement and then decided I wanted to do something with the kind of bigger picture.
Sure.
So I know there was all political stuff going on with law enforcement and stuff like that. So I want to take a little step back. And then at that time, someone was like, hey, why don't you go into the Army? They've got all these different programs, this and that, to go do pretty much anything and everything. So I was like, hey, that actually might be a good opportunity. So then went and talked to a recruiter and he's like, yeah, like we got some good options for you. So then I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll just send it. I know that
Yeah.
I can do my 3 years and get out and then go back to what I was doing, or I'm 7 years in now and kind of just loving it. Just re-enlisted for another 6 years.
Awesome, man. That's cool. Yeah, I definitely want to hear about your Army career and what you have coming forward. With whatever you can share, of course. But going back to law enforcement, you mentioned that you did that for 5 years.
Mhm.
Something that because I'm a learner of life. I love either researching or just collaborating and talking to people. We have a lot of students here that have been involved with law enforcement at some part of their career. So for you, like what was that process like in your state to become a law enforcement officer? Was that something that was a long process for you? Because I've spoken to officers and some of them it was pretty easy, and then some of them had to wait different cycles, if you will.
So I got it actually pretty easy. They had like a cadet program for the department I worked for. So I applied for it and didn't really hear anything for about 6 months. And I was actually thinking about joining the military then.
Yeah.
About a week before I was about to go talk to a recruiter, the police department called me. He's like, "Hey, you're hired." I was like, "Okay, perfect timing."
Yeah.
So then I got hired and stuff. Did some time helping out on the desk and everything like that. And then our police academy through North Carolina is through community colleges.
Hmm.
So once I was eligible and everything like that, I went through the police academy, and I do feel like my martial arts and just my mentality and everything like that made the police academy kind of a breeze.
Yeah.
All the mental toughness and everything like that, the mind games, tricks, different stuff like that, like didn't phase me like it was with other people in my class. So I'm
Yeah.
very thankful for starting so young in martial arts and just going all the way through and sticking with it, because it's definitely helped me out in the long run.
This part of the episode could be sponsored by you. If you're a business owner, creator, entrepreneur, brand, or organization looking to get in front of the engaged audience, this is your opportunity. Kumite Lifestyle is growing, and we're always looking to partner with people who are doing good work and want to connect with the community. To sponsor an episode or to learn more, visit kumitelifestyle.com or reach out directly. Let's build something together. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So martial arts is more than just punches and kicks, right? It is this mindset. And man, like when I was in the Air Force and I went through basic, I always appreciated the rank structure system because of karate, like white belt, yellow belt, and just understanding that there is a pecking order. And I just, I knew that a lot of people didn't do karate, especially like, kids I went to school with, a public school that is. So I knew that it was a pretty special activity that I did, even with the kids that were training with me. But as I transitioned later into my adult life and I'm in basic training, I really appreciated, my instructors and like, yeah, they were tough, but they have to be because they have to set that, that example. But yeah, man, I remember seeing kids just struggling. I'm like, dude, just follow directions. It's really not that difficult, So I think that's something that I took for granted. I'm thinking like, dang, like, because there are people older than me in basic training, and I just always assume like as you get older in life, you're supposed to mature, but obviously we know that's, not always the case. Yeah, and then you mentioned martial arts training and just just that that experience that helped you navigate the police academy. RJ, is there ever a time on duty that you had to actually physicality use your martial arts training?
So yes, I've had to use my martial arts a few times and use force incidents, stuff like that. And I definitely feel like I was able to, I don't want to say accomplish my goal, but was able to go home safe and keep my partner safe and restrain the person faster than if I wasn't untrained. So I'm very thankful for that. And I think most of my use of force incidents was trying to use the right words for it.
Sure.
It was kind of, I was able to predict what was going to happen next. So I was able to subdue the subject pretty fast and not have to either go toe to toe with someone or have to use any type of deadly force or anything like that. So I do think the balance of using the martial arts, and I do think that everyone in law enforcement should be using some type of martial arts, because it definitely helped save me a few times.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're listening right now and you're in law enforcement or know someone that is, that's a testament right there from someone that has served, law enforcement for the 5 years that you did. Man, that's awesome that you, came out of it with that perspective. What's your, what is your take or what's your overall viewpoint on use of force in law enforcement in general? And the reason why I asked that is because my instructor, Howard Steele, he's one of the Gracie survival tactics instructor, and he teaches law enforcement all across the country. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And he tells me often that, there are a lot of police officers, while they may be, in shape, good people, squared away, unfortunately, like you said, they're lacking that martial arts side or just the understanding of how to subdue and control, the subject before arresting if need be. So, man, I would love to get your take on that. So maybe in the area that you live, and again, I want to be careful about how we talk about this, of course, but with what you can share, do you feel that use of force could be a little bit better, or officers could be trained a little bit more efficiently when it comes to the hands-on portion?
Oh yeah, I mean that's goes just as in martial arts too. You can always train better. You can always do more. And I do think that on the law enforcement side, a lot of people get very complacent,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like, I don't want to go put on my gi tonight and go to class, or I just worked 12 hours and I'm super tired. I don't want to go train. Or then on the other hand, some departments don't want to put the risk out and allow their guys to get hurt or anything like that. So they say, hey, we're not going to send them to this training because we don't want them getting hurt. But in the long run, it's getting more officers hurt because they don't know how to protect themselves, or they only go to different tools they have on their belts and don't know how to properly use wrist locks, hand control, different stuff like that to subdue a subject. And they have only a few options, and then they have to go to deadly force. And I think if we geared a lot more towards law enforcement doing martial arts, I think there would be a lot less officers hurt, subjects hurt, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I definitely think it's super, super beneficial. I mean, for anyone listening to podcasts that's in law enforcement, highly recommend getting in some type of training. Whether
Yeah.
it's, I know there's always that big kind of argument whether jujitsu is better or karate or taekwondo and this and that. It's always a battle, but you know what? Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I've heard a lot just through the years with Howard is that I don't care if it's jujitsu, karate, I don't care if it spells with I'm sorry, starts with a J or K. If it's self defense and it works, I want to know it. So yeah, I agree. And just knowing something is better than nothing at all. Man, overall though, from your law enforcement experience, what is something that you've taken with you that you've been able to carry with you for with where you're at now? Maybe a memory or just like what are some of the principles of law enforcement that has really helped you and shaped you with where you are now?
I think the biggest thing is that attention to detail.
Oh yeah.
And it definitely carries over to my next job, but attention to detail. The small things turn into bigger things, and then bigger things are massive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing is from what I learned from the biggest thing from law enforcement is those fine details.
Yeah, the attention to detail would definitely go a long way. So as we transition, right? So as you talked about the next chapter in your life, talk about the army now and what that process was like for you, yeah, specifically, and what you do in the army. Whatever with whatever you can share, of course.
Yeah. So, one of actually my karate students' parents was telling me when I was kind of like trying to figure out what I want to do. And they're like, well, what do you think about going to be an Army Ranger? And I was like, no, I'm not being a park ranger for the Army. And they're like, no, 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 no. They're like, look into it. And I was like, oh man, that's actually really, really cool. That's something I want to do.
But you thought an army ranger was a park ranger?
That's when they said ranger, because
Yeah.
I didn't really have any experience with military or anything before going in. So I was kind of clueless, kind of that dumb private. I was like, man, like it's kind of weird
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I've only heard about special forces. So I was like, man, park ranger, my mistake. But
Yeah.
so then
That's
did my
funny.
research and stuff and was like, hey, that's actually something I'm pretty interested in. So went saw a recruiter and he was like, yeah, when can you leave? I was like, right now. So a few weeks later, shipped off to MEPS and then down to Fort Benning
Yep.
for infantry OSET. Did my 22 weeks there. I mean, with law enforcement and martial arts and everything, it was, I wouldn't say it was easy, but definitely my mental toughness going through it was not expecting I thought the mind games were going to be a lot worse,
Yeah.
but I guess I built myself up. So, and then from all my senseis, from my father, friends, and everything, building my mental toughness up, I was just watching people crack left and right to me, and I was like, "This really isn't that bad. What are we
Yeah.
doing here?"
Yeah.
But I do think that kind of wraps around to the martial arts training down in the beginning years of my life.
Yeah.
But then after I finished my pretty much my basic training, then AIT, went over to airborne school, did 3 weeks in airborne school, jumped out a few planes. And then at that time, I came down on orders to go up to Fort Bragg. And then I've been here at Fort Bragg for almost 6 years now.
Nice. That's awesome.
Enjoying it. Pretty much went through every single different type of position from in a infantry team, from rifleman to squad leader to RTO to everything.
Yeah.
So I've had a very, very good career so far. When the Afghanistan pullout happened, my unit got sent over there. Fortunately, we only got stuck in Kuwait, so I got a little vacation out in Kuwait for a while.
Yeah.
Then we redeployed, and then about 6 months later, when they sent troops over to Poland for Ukraine and Russia incident, my unit was actually first boots on ground over there. So I spent that 6 months over in Poland learning. Actually got to train with the Polish jiu-jitsu team. So that was super cool, getting to learn everything from them and see how they operate and everything like that. And then I've done a little training in jiu-jitsu back in the statesides.
Yeah.
So seeing their stuff was very similar, but they were ready to rip your heads off as soon as you touched.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting watching how they, and I also think their English translation was a little bit different. I think they were using some words for different things. So it was even more challenging trying to figure out what type of lock they were doing, what type of thing, when they were giving different names for different things, which it made it even more fun because it was trying to learn two things at once.
Before we go any further, do me a quick favor. If you're enjoying this episode, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share with somebody who would appreciate this conversation. That one share really does help the show grow. And if you're listening on audio, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a rating or review. It helps more people find the show, and it lets me know that you're rocking with what we're already building. All right, let's keep it going and let's get back into this amazing conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think that's cool. Just that overall summary that you gave there, and you touched on a couple of things that really resonate with myself when you talk about, basic training, of course, and kind of going back to what we said about martial arts training helping, and just that discipline. Yeah, man. It's one of the reasons why I love these podcasts is that, when someone is talking about something that I've gone through myself, it resonates more. So I remember, as you were talking about, the time at basic training or boot camp, excuse me, it did suck, but there are moments that were cool because it's like, I'm not sure if the Army advertised this when you guys were there, but we were constantly reminded in the Air Force that, less than America's 1% population is doing this. So you guys could should feel special. And I get it, but yeah, it was cool, knowing that not many people are doing what we're doing. So, but I always reminded myself, this is all temporary, So if there's a drill instructor yelling at me, it's it's not going to matter next week or even the next day. I mean, obviously the life lessons that they're instilling are going to matter. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, and man, just hearing the way you talk about the Army and, all the different things that you've done, it's always cool when I talk to a serviceman that actually enjoys being in the military, because I've talked to so many, they're like, dude, I can't wait till I get out. I'm like, and dang, man, did you choose this branch or choose this job? And I know there's a lot of different factors that go into that, but man, that's awesome that you've had an opportunity to, of course, do martial arts, which you're still doing, law enforcement, and then obviously military. So it feels like everything is kind of transcended, or it's like you're climbing the ladder, if you will. It's like, I don't see anything, you didn't go forward just to go back. You're always moving forward there.
I try to be.
Yeah, man. I think that's exciting. And then you also mentioned going overseas, and I'm glad you shared that. And something for myself, I have been overseas, but never for any type of deployment or anything military related. And you mentioned going to Kuwait. So, man, RJ, I would love to hear, from your perspective, aside from the mission, but when you over there personally and you're in a foreign country and you know that there's danger lurking anywhere you go and you're kind of like your senses are heightened, did you still like were you able to still find, I hate to use the word beauty, but the joy and just understanding the fact that you are in a different place and it's really not as bad as what the media makes it out to be?
I think it all comes down to the guys to your left and right. Like, you could be in the worst place in the world, and if you have your boys next to you, it's so much better.
Yeah.
I know. I know on that deployment, her activation, what we call it, an 80-second. Um, there were some ups and downs and everything like that through it because we wanted to go help and go into Afghanistan and help with the pullout and everything, but we got stuck in Kuwait. So emotions were up and down, just a lot of anger
Yeah.
because we wanted to go help our guys out there and everything like that. And we just arrived when the Abbey Gate got hit in Kuwait, so we were ready to get in there and start helping.
Yeah.
So once we kind of got the pause button out in Kuwait, like all the guys were just, I wouldn't say animals, but next thing you know, all the dudes are jumping on each other, trying to wrestle, trying to fight.
Yeah.
In not a bad way, but just the brotherly love, just who can pin someone down, who can get someone in an arm bar, who can
Yeah.
choke someone out. So it's all about the guys left and right of you. I don't
Yeah.
know if your experience was like this in the military, but it's always secondhand fun.
Yeah.
It really is awful when you're doing it. And then a week later, once you had a cheeseburger and slept in your own bed, you're like, that was the best thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I appreciate you asking that question as far as my own experiences. So, yeah, so just to kind of give some context, I served in the Air Force and I was in the reserves for the majority of my time. So, and I wanted to do that because I thought about going active duty. I spoke to a lot of different recruiters over the time after graduation, but I wanted to be able to serve, but also still be at home because I knew martial arts was going to be my career. And I was working towards that at the time. So for myself, when I was in the Air Force, I had an opportunity to go to the Air Force Mortuary Affairs, and it was a stateside deployment. And yeah, man, when you talk about like secondhand fun, there was a lot of most of that job sucked. And the reason why I say that is because the nature in which, the job entailed, it was very honorable. It was a very high visible job. I mean, anytime a plane would come in and we knew that there was a mission and the fallen soldiers come down, it's very ceremonial and it's very like aha, it's like damn, like I see this in movies, but to actually be here in real time, that was pretty surreal. And there's just a lot of emotions, a lot of things that like I still think about today, excuse me, where it's, even though it sucked, I became better, because of it. I have a much better appreciation for life. And just moments like this, just the ability for us to connect, the way, that we are. And I know it's the same thing for you, when you're in such a environment, whether it's hostile or, whatever that is for you, because sometimes it's the mental fights, it's the, it's the scars that people can't see. Those are the ones that definitely hurt the most. But yeah, and so interestingly enough, where I was at, so the mortuary is actually in Delaware. So where I live, so I was telling Howard like, "Hey, bro, like," and this was back in 2017, 2018. I'm like, "Hey, I'm getting deployed." He was like, "Oh, dude, no, that sucks because things we got goals we got to do." I'm like, "Yeah, it's well, I'm going, just across the street." So like, it's kind of a laugh there, but yeah, man, I was fortunate, bro, that even though like I was going through some of the most, suckiest moments mentally, I was still at home and I could still come and train. Had I not had that, I don't know. I mean, I believe that I would have been just fine, but like I think about your situation where, like you said, like the person to the left, person to the right. I mean, it's I'm grateful for the fact that you had people around you that you could, be close to. I can only imagine being somewhere in the world where A, you don't want to be, B, it's also dangerous, and then having people that you don't, like.
I want to take a second to say thank you to everybody who supports Kumite Lifestyle. Whether you've watched one episode or you've been here since the beginning, I appreciate you. This show has grown because of the people who listen, watch, comment, share, and tell others about it. If you want to support even more, visit kumitelifestyle.com. You can check out the latest episodes, shop the merch, connect with us, and stay updated on everything we have coming next. This is bigger than just a podcast. It's a community. And I'm grateful that you're a part of it. Let's get back into this amazing conversation.
Yeah. Which overseas deployments, you can talk to any veteran, especially in like the early days of the war and stuff like that. Like you get your buddies and you guys are close knit. I still have guys who've already got out of the military or on different assignments, stuff like that. I still talk to them daily.
Yeah.
So it's that close, tight knit bond. Because before the deployment stuff, there's always tension and stuff like that. People are at each other's throats. They're scared, nervous, don't want to go so bad. Just emotions flailing. But once you get over there where you need to go, first week, everyone clicks and everyone's best friends.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So when you came back, was that a hard adjustment for you? Like, going or, getting acclimated back to regular life, if you will?
For me, not really. Going back to the whole mental toughness and stuff, my dad definitely instilled the mental toughness of, hey, nothing's going to break you and you're always going to try to be better and accomplish everything. So once I got home, it kind of didn't really phase me. But I also didn't experience anything like some of the guys did.
Yeah.
On Kabul or anything like that. So I had it very easy. So, I mean, it wasn't really a phase. Both the activations didn't really phase me too much. I got home and was ready for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we also had at the Hall of Fame, we had a chance to talk about where you're heading now in the future for the Army. Is that something that you can share?
Yeah, so here in a little bit, I'll be going to the Drill Sergeant Academy and go bring up our new future generation of our soldiers.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I'm super pumped about that.
Yeah. Are there any restrictions, being a drill instructor, or like what can you do and not do? Because I know in the Air Force, it's kind of changed over the course of the last decade or so, just because of society. And I hate to use the word watered down, but I've heard that expression a lot. Is it where's the Army right now with like their training and just how they interact with these trainees or recruits?
I'll have to tell you here in the next few months, once I go to the training and stuff like that, and kind of get a kind of better idea of it, because I don't really know what to expect just yet. But once I get down to the training and stuff like that, I'll definitely give you a call and definitely.
Yeah, man, please do. Yeah, like I would love to hear that.
Stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely keep me posted, man, because I would, anything military, I always find pretty, fascinating, especially instructors, because I think a lot of drill instructors and, MTIs get a lot of hate, but it's one of probably like, I think because we're instructors, we appreciate what they do a lot more because we understand what goes to it to some level. I've talked to Air Force instructors, Air Force drill instructors. Actually, one of my cadres that I got to meet at basic training, he does Isshinryu. He's actually from New Jersey. Yeah, his name is Michael Walsh, and good guy. And he was an MTI for a while, and then he went back to his regular job in the Air Force, and then he was an instructor out at the Air Force Academy. So he's had a chance to really be in that teaching role. And one thing that he told me is that, a lot of it is, people think it's just yelling, but it's systemized, organized chaos, if you will. And there's a lot of stress that the instructors have to do. Like they have to be able to teach and also get you to where you need to be in a timely manner. And when I learned it, and so when I understood it from that perspective and what you're going to go through, it made me appreciate, like, damn, like these men and women have a very tough job. Not only do they have to mold the future, but they have their own shit that they have to take care of, Yeah. So, man, I'm excited, for you. How long is that a special duty tour going to be for you?
So it's going to be anywhere from like 3 years to 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. So it's going to go by pretty quick, I'm sure. Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. So as we kind of round out this whole amazing talk about life, martial arts, military, and the things that we've learned and gained and just our experiences together, I want to kind of take it back now to the dojo. So when you're teaching, whether you're teaching by yourself or maybe you're teaching a private lesson, whatever, in like whatever capacity that's like, RJ, what is your goal for the students? Like ultimately, what do you want them to understand and know? Not just kata, not just kobudo or kumite, but like what's the life skill value that you want to provide each and every single time like you're teaching?
So, I mean, you can ask any of my students. The biggest thing I harp on is confidence,
Yeah,
especially for these younger guys. I don't really focus too much about that for the older guys, but definitely from that like teenage down, I'm always harping on confidence because as you see different tournaments and new student stuff, always looking down at the ground, kind of stuttering over their words and not really having that command presence.
yeah,
And I mean, you look at Miss Shelby, her confidence through the roof.
yeah,
So I mean, I try to mold all of our students to have that same confidence because I mean, you see where it's taken her so far from her dedication and everything like that. But a huge role of that is her confidence, being able to be well spoken, be confident in doing her katas, be confident in everything. So I definitely try to push a lot of my classes towards
yeah,
confidence and discipline.
yeah, absolutely. Now, going back to Shelby, I know she's kind of maybe a once in a lifetime student, as they say, but does a lot of that confidence, is that more of a is that natural for her, or is that something that even behind closed doors is like is she really working on that every single day? Like I don't work with her, so I would love to kind of just know from your perspective, like what have you done specifically to help mold her, or like what of hers, like what are some of her weaknesses that you've been able to make better, if that makes sense.
Honestly, when she came to the dojo, she didn't really have any weaknesses. She was just a ball of fire.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just the small stuff with her right now. Of hey, your foot's a little bit off on this dachi, or hey, we need to slow down this part, or those small fine tuned stuff because she has the discipline, motivation, and everything for to push through. So now it's just that fine detail kind of polishing up the car right now.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Something else that I love to ask instructors, especially dojo owners, is that we wear different hats, meaning we do teach, and there is a business to be run. I find that a lot of times owners that have their own businesses, especially martial arts, is the cleaning is probably their least favorite. So, of all the things that you're tasked to do, what yeah, like what are some of your favorites, and what are some of the things that you can continue to work on?
Uh, so, I mean, my favorite's always going to be the more street oriented self defense stuff,
Yeah,
especially in the job that I'm in. And then with my dad being in law enforcement too, like we try to orient the dojo very street oriented. Because, I mean, we're trying, we allow our students and we want our students to go compete and do all the tournaments and stuff. But at the heart and soul of it, we want our students to be safe and never have an issue with getting attacked or anything, that they're always able to defend themselves.
yeah,
So like my bread and butter, my dad's too, is always that street self defense and make sure that we're not doing any of this McDojo stuff where it's going to get someone hurt or do
yeah.
some wazoo stuff to a flying knee armbar into a somersault and stuff like that. Keep it simple and keep it actually effective. That push comes to shove, that we're able to have our students defend themselves properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good goal. And I love the mindset and approach where I like how you make it available, meaning like it's an exclusive opportunity where it's like you don't limit them. You can't, oh, you can't compete. No, it's like go do all those things, but just remember the things that are getting you there or why you started training in the first place. Yeah, man, right on. RJ, where can people find you on social media, whether they want to get in touch with you personally or, more information about the dojo, the academy?
So the dojo is on Facebook. It's going to be Southeast Carolina Isshinryu. You can message that page, or my actual personal Facebook page is going to be RJRE. And then any other social media I don't have. So if you see it, it's fake.
Perfect. Yeah. So, for those watching and listening, now you have an opportunity to stay in touch if you have any questions for RJ and, of course, his school in North Carolina. So the last question that I want to ask, and I ask every guest this, or I do my best to, is the final question is, they say that our legacy is defined by the impact that we have on others. So ultimately, what impact do you want to have, and how do you want to be remembered? So meaning that your impact is still being written because you still have a lot of life to live. And I'm super excited to be able to see that, with whatever you're willing to share. But ultimately, how do you want people to remember you by?
So I'll keep it kind of PG because I know we got a lot of
Yeah.
viewers and stuff like that. But I've always, as a kid, always wanted to walk in the door and be the baddest person in the room. So,
Yeah.
I mean, every single day I try to make myself either working out every single day. I'm sitting here counting calories and meals, trying to watch videos of martial arts because I don't have an active dojo directly here on base with me. So I'm doing a lot of YouTube stuff, doing a lot of talking on phones, doing voice or Zoom calls and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm always every single day trying to get myself better. So at the end of the day, like, my biggest thing is I just want to be the baddest person in the room.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. RJ, it's so cool to be able to share this space right now and just to hear your story. I appreciate you coming on and sharing kind of a snapshot, if you will, of the things that you've accomplished and the things that you're going to continue to do. And again, for those watching for the first time, this is RJ, and had an opportunity to talk about kind of your start in martial arts, of course, some of the things that you've had to experience, competing, getting disqualified at those early tournaments, and then, of course, your military career and your law enforcement. So, like, when I think of you, man, I think of the total package. And like, I know you said, like, being the baddest person in the room, but that comes with the life experiences, that you've had. And I think it's also amazing that you have the opportunity to pass on what you've been taught now to the next generation. So huge shout out to both you and your dad and your dojo, of course. And yeah, man, just from Kumite Lifestyle, man, just thank you so much for hopping on, and like, we appreciate your time. And again, for those watching, yeah,
I appreciate you having me. It's definitely a very big honor and everything. I've seen how you've started this Kumite lifestyle, and it's just been blowing up. I go on social media, and next thing I know, it's everywhere. So, I mean, I'm super proud of where you've come and everything, from us being little tiny tigers together, now grown adults doing our lives.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And likewise, yeah, definitely call me, or like, text me when figure out what the army's like, and
I love it.
how these recruits are. All right, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for hopping on the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast.
That's another episode in the books. I want to thank today's guests for being a part of the show and bringing real value to the conversation. And to everybody watching or listening, I appreciate you more than you know. There are a lot of great things you could be doing right now with your time. So the fact that you spent some time here, it means a lot. Make sure you subscribe, follow, share, and visit KumiteLifestyle.com to support the show and check out our amazing merch in the shop. Remember, every story matters, every conversation has value, and we're going to keep building one episode at a time. Thank you for tapping in. I'll catch you on the next one.